So as many of you watching this video may know, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama, has passed away, and as a huge fan of the Dragon Ball universe, I wanted to make a piece commemorating the passing of such an influential creator in the anime world. So in this video, I mainly wanted to talk about why this hit me so hard as a person and as an artist. Though Toriyama was not the father of anime, I feel his work is responsible for getting many Americans into anime and popularizing Japanese animation in the Western world. So for me, I remember the very first time watching Dragon Ball Z, and I was just blown away as a kid seeing this extremely action-packed show on this big tube TV. We didn't have cable in our house for some time growing up in the 90s, so I didn't have access to the late night Toonami shows in the later 90s. But at one point I was on vacation in Florida with my family, and my parents had gone to bed, but I was still wide awake. Some things never change, I guess. I still never sleep. But I turned on the TV and on came the show called Dragon Ball Z. And it had these really strong looking characters throwing earth-shattering punches and laser beams flying everywhere. And I thought it was the coolest thing I had ever seen. And if you're wondering what episode it was that I was watching, it's from season 1 of Dragon Ball Z, where Piccolo and Goku are actually fighting Raditz to get Gohan back. After watching this on vacation, I became immediately obsessed with Dragon Ball Z, and I convinced my grandma and my parents to slowly start getting me mangas to read so I could know more about this world. And to my surprise, this series was already huge and it had this really long story already together, and I found out they had another series from Goku as a kid, though later I found out after getting some of the mangas for Dragon Ball, it was probably a little more inappropriate than my parents probably knew. The Dragon Ball series was more of a goofy comic of a kid on an adventure compared to people just punching each other in the face as hard as they could. And it was cool, but as a 10-year-old, I wanted the huge lasers and monstrous punches. But I loved Dragon Ball Z so much, I decided I wanted to start drawing these characters, and I found out that at my elementary school Scholastic Book Fair, they actually had a bunch of how to draw Dragon Ball Z books. And these are actually those books right here. I am so glad that I held on to these after all of these years. Now, these books were horrible at actually teaching you how to draw step by step, but what they did do is they helped me learn how to draw the images by looking at them, and I started copying them pretty darn well and slowly honed my skills at drawing anime based characters, and that slowly transitioned into me starting to draw my own anime characters, and I started drawing characters from other anime and manga series. But if it wasn't for these books and the show, I wouldn't have been so into the world of anime, and I wouldn't have started my drawing adventure as far back as I did. And in some cases, I feel like I may not have ever been an artist in the first place if I hadn't gotten into anime, and all of that started again with Dragon Ball Z. I did always love doodling before watching the show, but it was never something I had a passion for. But once I started drawing these characters, I knew this was something I wanted to do, and I loved every minute of it. So from the bottom of my heart, I feel I need to thank Toriyama and all who worked on Dragon Ball for making me the artist I am today. And that's why I drew this piece of both Vegeta and Goku crying up against the grave of Toriyama. May his legend go on into the future generations, and maybe others will get into drawing characters based on the show and manga as well. And if this story is similar to you in any way, please let me know in the comments below of your story of how a show or a comic got you into drawing or writing. I would absolutely love to hear your stories. I also would love to know if any of you did anything to commemorate the passing of this creator. On top of making this piece, my buddy Brandon and I played our favorite Dragon Ball Z game that we sunk way too many hours in back in the day. We played a bunch of matches of Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi 3. And playing that game again showed me that 1, the game still really holds up to this day, but 2, how a show like this can bring people together. DBZ was one of the things that Brandon and I really were able to bond over as kids, and it helped cultivate the amazing relationship that we have to this day. And kicking his butt in DBZ just gave him something to stride for. Okay, he kicked my butt sometimes too, but I digress. You know, people can say all they want about the show and how Dragon Ball's power scaling of characters is crap, or that the show had too many episodes of the characters just screaming and powering up, but for many of us kids in that early era of Dragon Ball Z, we didn't care. We just loved it, we bonded over it, and we were inspired by the show and the messages that it sometimes had in it. Anime has come a long way since that time, and yes, some of the pacing can be slow, but that is how we evolve as an artistic medium. We learn from the greats before us, and we take what worked and didn't work, and we apply it to our lessons of our own personal work. And also, I just gotta say, Goku can beat Superman all day long without even breaking a sweat. And now the comment section is going to be a war zone based off of that comment. Now, a little bit about this piece before we wrap things up. The design of this piece was with them sitting at the grave with this thought of, I don't think the Dragon Balls are gonna work this time, and the heartfelt pain that is going through them, representing how many of us feel about his passing. Now, I made this piece mainly using Procreate on my iPad, but to make sure this piece actually came out in a timely manner and came out this year, I did do some photo bashing to do a bunch of different elements for the background. I originally was gonna draw the background, but just coming up with the drawing idea and doing all the little details like the water running down their bodies, I just felt like I needed to take a step back and use some of my old school Photoshop skills and bash things together to make it a little bit quicker. And I think in the end, the final look turned out about how I was wanting it to look in the first place. In the end, I really think I enjoyed the look of Vegeta the most, but I think I was able to capture both of the Z fighters pretty darn well, considering I really haven't drawn these characters in quite a few years. But before the final drawing is revealed, I want to thank my patrons for all the support that you give me on this channel, and if you want to see your name on here and also help support this channel, go check out the link below. But with that being said, check out the final results of this piece. Thank you for coming to this video, and let me know if you like this storytime based video with the drawing in the background. That way I know if I should make some more of these in the future. If you want to see more of my work, consider clicking on the video on the screen where I created anime logos of fast food logos. But like always, keep drawing, and until next time, bye!